Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I want to talk a little bit more about that terrible accident where Alec Baldwin accidentally shot somebody on a film set. And the thing I wanted to talk about is that it seems like Hollywood is getting ready to blame the gun. Okay, and the reason why I say that is they kind of pre-started the process when by calling this a prop gun. Okay, so Hollywood people are anti-gun. They don't want to admit to themselves that they use guns. They're protected by guns, that they make millions of dollars off of guns. So they call them prop guns to kind of make themselves feel better, okay? Um, but it's a real gun. It was a real gun that was used. This is a real gun. You cannot call it a prop gun. A prop gun would be something like this, right? Right? Something that is obviously a toy, right? That is incapable of shooting. That doesn't even have a chamber where it can take a round. Okay, so this is a prop gun. Um, Using a real gun and calling it a prop gun is kind of like a mental game that they're playing with themselves to basically be able to make money off guns, but at the same time be able to take an anti-gun position in their lives. Okay, so a couple of things that have come up, again, along the lines of them setting themselves up to blame the guns. There's been talk of banning guns, real guns, on film sets. Okay, so again, that's blaming the gun. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's a real gun if you follow the safety rules. Okay, now Hollywood does have rules in place. For handling guns on a stage. Basically the rules are that they do treat all guns like they're loaded. They keep the guns pointed in a safe direction and their fingers off the trigger. Until the gun, I guess, has been verified that it's not loaded, because I guess for some scenes they got to put their finger on the trigger, otherwise it's not going to be realistic. But the procedures are that every time that the gun is handed from one person to the other, each person is responsible for checking the gun. Okay, so when the gun goes from, let's say, the prop master to the armorer, right? The armorer's got to check the gun, and then when it goes from the armorer to the actor has to check the gun, and if there's any other people involved that where the gun's handed from one person to the other, each person has to check the gun every single time. So this is a peacemaker. This is probably the gun that they were probably using in this movie, since it's a late period Western. And the procedure for this would simply be open up the loading gate, put the gun on half cock so that the chamber will rotate, and basically you just simply look through each of the chambers, 6 chambers, to make sure there's nothing in there. And you would basically go through it twice, to make sure there's nothing in there, right? And then what you would do, right? These are, again, Hollywood procedures. Basically, you would dry fire the gun. So you would pull the trigger, point the gun in a safe direction, pull the trigger 12 times. Why would you do this? It's not for the benefit of me, right, the person that just checked it. This is for the benefit of the other people standing around who didn't get a chance to look in the chamber, who can now hear and see that the gun is not loaded. So this procedure is already in place. So here's the thing. A lot of people are saying, okay, we need more rules, right? No real guns allowed on the film sets. Well, here's the thing. If you don't follow this rule, what makes anybody think that they're gonna follow all the other rules? Okay, so again, blaming the gun, not the people. Okay, now there's been a big deal that's been made about the fact that during the off hours, people were handling and shooting the gun with live ammo in off hours. Now, here's the thing. People have made a big deal out of this. I don't think it's a problem, because hey, they're out in the desert, right? They're out in the ranch in the desert. I don't see a problem with them shooting the gun, as long as they're doing it in a safe manner. Okay, but when basically the gun, when they're done shooting, and at each handoff, the gun has to be checked to make sure it's not loaded. And again, when the gun goes back to the armory, the next day when it comes out, at each step along the way, the gun has to be checked for it to be loaded. I mean, they're out in the desert. I mean, what's the difference? Let's say they went to a gun range, right, to do some filming. Okay, you're at a gun range. There's live ammo at the gun range, right? There's real guns at the gun range. People are shooting. So what for the purpose So let's say a film crew showed up here, right, where I shoot, all right, and they were gonna pose with these guns, all right. So for the purpose of posing with the guns, right, I would open up the guns, check, make sure there's no mag in, check the chamber, dry fire the gun, right, do it twice so everybody can see it, right, all right. I would do that with the gun, same way I just did it, right, and now I can, we can pose the people, and they can take pictures with the real guns on a real gun range where there is real ammunition here. But we've gone through the safety rules. We've gone through the steps of verifying that the gun is not loaded. Okay, so I don't have a problem with people firing a gun during the off hours. I don't have a problem with live ammo being on the film set, right? As long as they're following all the other safety procedures. Now, one of the things with the live ammo, because a lot of people think, oh, there was like whatever hundreds of rounds of live ammo at the location. Well, here's the thing. How do you think that fake ammo is made, right? In most cases, they're gonna probably take live ammo, pull the bullet out, pour out the gunpowder, so I think that in many cases, that's probably how they make the dummy rounds. Right now, I mean, yeah, granted, they can they can buy cases, right? But then again, if you're buying cases, you gotta buy a lot. Normally they're sold in 50 or 100 round bags, right? You can buy primers or fake primers, so you can build fake ammo from scratch. But I don't have a problem. I don't think that there's a safety issue with just buying live ammo and converting that into fake ammo. The issue is that the guns have to be checked before the people handle the guns. That's what the issue is. That's where the focus needs to be. Not on if there was live ammo at the location, if they were shooting on off hours. I don't think any of that stuff makes a difference. That's basically trying to divert blame from the people to the guns or to the ammunition. Okay. Now on the let's talk about some of these. Now this is an actual prop gun, right? So here's the thing. If you're gonna, here's the thing. Here, I obviously train people. I use these. Now this is a real prop gun, right? I use these fake guns because sometimes I have to teach certain grappling techniques, right? Where I have to teach people how to disarm. So that's clearly a situation where the fake gun is going to be pointed at a real person, and they're going to go through a bunch of techniques. Okay, so you can't have these hard and fast rules that the gun is never ever, even a fake gun is never ever going to be pointed at a person, because sometimes it doesn't, it's just not going to work, right? When I teach grappling techniques, I have to use a fake gun like this, and this fake gun does get pointed at a person, and they go through certain techniques. Now, I intentionally use a clear see-through gun like this, which is obvious to everybody that this is a toy, right? It's got the red in the front. Now, for the purpose of a movie, you couldn't use something like this because it looks silly. But so you're going to use something like this. Now, this gun over here looks real. In fact, it looks more real than this gun over here, which is red. Okay. Well, here's the thing. This is the real gun. This is the fake gun. How do you know the difference, right? Well, the only way that you can know the difference is by dropping the magazine, pulling back a slide, looking in the chamber, and saying, "Oh shit, look at that. That doesn't even have a chamber, right? That's not even the barrel. That's a fake gun." Okay. So only by examining this would you know that this is a fake gun. And this is what each person along that, in that chain of custody, right, as they're passing the gun from one person to the other, that's what each person needs to do every time. Look at the gun, verify that it's not loaded, verify that it's actually a fake gun if they're going to be doing some type of grappling scenes or something like that. But that's the only way that you would know that this is a fake gun. You have to examine this, because otherwise this looks really, this looks very realistic. Okay. Now, as far as using fake guns, let's talk about this. Here's a real gun, all right, that looks like a fake gun, right, because it got like a cute red color on it. So here's the thing. This real gun over here started off its life as a fake gun. Okay. So again, you can't say only use fake guns, because modern day guns are kind of like Lego block systems, right? So that gun over there started off its life like this gun over here, right? It had a little channel block over here, so you can't even fit a barrel in there. And what I did is I took this this piece of plastic, right? And I converted it into a real gun that shoots real bullets. Okay, so the answer is not only use fake guns on real sets, because modern day fake guns can very easily become real guns with a little bit of work. You can't just say take out the firing pin, because you take out the firing pin, well, you can put the firing pin back in there. You can't just say, you know, you gotta block the chamber so it won't accept a real round, right? Because one of the techniques that they'll use is they'll basically weld some metal into the chamber so that a real bullet won't fit in there. Okay, well, all you gotta do is change out the barrel, all right? And then basically now you got a working gun. You know, barrels are like $100. I mean, they're not expensive. So that's why you know the safety has to come down to people, not inanimate objects. You know, not the gun, not the tool. And this would also apply to not just guns, but all equipment, right? Suppose you were using whatever, a chainsaw or something for a film. You know, you got to go through certain procedures to make sure that you know there a certain amount of distance is being kept, or in certain scenes where people are up close, the saw is not actually running, or that the chain is not actually, you know, let's say you have a chainsaw with an actual working motor, but you don't have an actual chain that will rotate on it that has you know blades that cut, you know. So these are all steps that you got to take to ensure that you're not going to have an accident. Now, interesting thing about this type of accident, and I didn't know this prior to this accident, is that they have rules in place where a real gun is not supposed to be pointed at another person, even if it's a scene where, you know, let's say I'm pointing it at the camera, right? Well, if I'm going to be pointing the gun at the camera, right, what's going to happen is it's going to be an unmanned camera. So the camera is going to be operated remotely. So even though this is a real gun that has no live ammo in it, or maybe it would have, let's say, a blank in it, right? You know, that just has gunpowder but no bullet. Still, because it's a real gun, basically nobody's behind the camera, and I'm able to point the gun towards the camera. And another procedure that they have in place is that they could also be a bulletproof plexiglass, you know, to protect us if it's going to be if blank rounds are going to be fired. Plexiglass will be placed in front of the camera, you know, to contain the blast, right, so that it doesn't spread out to the sides. The other techniques that they will use in filming is they won't actually point the real gun in line. So let's say you right there are the actor, right? What I will do is, instead of pointing the gun at you, I'll point it offline. Right now, maybe I'll point it offline, but I'll point it slightly down towards the ground. So if there's like people like 50 feet away, I'm not pointing it at the people, I'm pointing it in front of their feet, right? From the position of the camera, you can't tell the difference. So if you look at that target over there, right? You can't tell the difference. Right now I'm pointing at the target. Now there I'm pointing 2 feet to the side of the target. Right? So me pointing 2 feet to the side of the target from the position of the camera, you can't tell the difference. You also can't tell from that angle that I'm pointing the gun slightly down, right? So here's pointing it straight out, here's pointing it down at the ground. From the position of the camera, you cannot see. The reason why I'm bringing this up is there are rules already in place to prevent accidents from happening. Okay, so putting more rules in place, is not going to help. If you're not following the first 3 or 10 rules, you're not going to follow the 100 rules after that. So again, it comes back to, you can't blame the guns. You've got to blame the people. I don't care which people they blame. I don't know. I don't care if they blame Baldwin, the armorer, the prop master. They let them do their own investigation, and let those chips land wherever they land. But the one thing I will not accept is that it's the gun's fault. Okay, that we need to make more rules we have to make more rules to control the guns. Gun didn't cause the accident to happen. People caused the accident to happen. So go figure out which people caused the accident to happen and deal with those people. Don't try to blame the gun. All right, so that's the focus of this video. I wanted to kind of get out ahead of Hollywood and give this information to you guys. Don't give them an opportunity to try and blame the gun. wherever you see them trying to blame the gun or trying to say that they need more rules to control the guns, get out in front of them and say, hey, listen, if you're not following the first 3 rules, you're not going to follow 100 rules after that. So drop some comments below. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon.